Well, let's go ahead and get started. We have a packed agenda for you all today. Like I said, a quick 45 minutes, but we're really excited with the great turnout of everyone. Welcome. I'm Carrie Crancy, Community Foundation CEO, and presenting with me today is Andrea Scott, our Chief Philanthropy Officer. We'll go back and forth a little bit throughout the day, and we'll get you in and out, hopefully with some really good information. Quick housekeeping. The mics will remain muted throughout the meeting. If you have any questions, please feel free to throw it in the chat. We have a lot of materials to cover today, so of course, if you have any questions at the end, please feel free to reach out. And we are super excited to share with you all today and really dig in. Are we ready? Let's roll. Excellent. If we could, there we go. Thank you so much. So just a really quick about the Community Foundation. As we have you all today, we are celebrating our 25th anniversary this year, which we are super excited about. We have granted out over $65 million since our founding in 2000. We'll talk about Giving Tuesday. We currently hold about 39 million in charitable assets, and we are just so excited about all the work we do through our grant making, our scholarships, serving Shasta, Siskiyou, and Tehama counties. Very excited. We started with just 7 funds and $300,000, and today over 180 funds. We love our role and our work in the Community Foundation, and we can't wait to help you all as well. This is being recorded, and we will be sharing it out. Just a quick little snapshot of some of the wonderful pictures and images of the impact of our grants and our funds here in the community. Our job is to fuel this impact, and we can see that whether it's through arts, animals, cultural work, whatever the case might be. We're really excited about the impact we have in the North State. So if you're joining us today, whether you're a staff member, a volunteer, board member, a donor, or just someone who's really interested in helping the North State, we think you're going to get a lot of tools today. So I'm going to turn it over to Andrea to go over more of our agenda and kick us off.
Good morning, everyone. Quick agenda for us. We're going to discuss grant making, which is, of course, probably one of the main ways that you are familiar with the Community Foundation. We'll also talk about matchmaking, a quick bit about North State Giving Tuesday, which I'm sure many of our nonprofits participate in here. And then we're going to talk fundraising and some fun options and investments we have here at the Community Foundation, and materials and resources we have available, and more. So we're going to walk you through some of those tools, share some tips and insights. I've been a fundraiser in the nonprofit industry for 26 years now. So I'm going to give you some of the insights that I've learned over that time. And most importantly, we'll be really highlighting what that means for you and your work so that you can keep doing more of your great work. As we kick off here, I'm actually going to put up a quick poll. Let's take a temperature check. What's keeping you up at night? 1, 2, 3, or all of the above. What's happening in your world as a nonprofit, as a volunteer, board member, donor? What is this looking like? A lot of you are answering. We're getting lots and lots of feedback here. Give you a couple more seconds. I'll tell you right off the bat. I'm going to end the poll. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get in there. All right. Here are the results. No surprise. You all are saying what's keeping you up at night? Finding new funding sources is the #1. Close second, right? Building long-term sustainability or reserves. limited fundraising capacity, staff, or expertise. Those are tied right there. And then funding cuts or funding shortages. We're not surprised. We've heard from many of you. We've had a lot of conversations. We do a lot of site visits, a lot of calls, so that we are learning, what's keeping our fingers on the pulse, learning what's happening in our community. And hopefully you'll be able to take away a few tools and tips today that can help you with some of these concerns that you have. Let's get going. Oops. Did I advance? Ah. Quick soapbox moment before we roll into the rest of this agenda. This is one of my favorite quotes. It is not an expense problem. It's a revenue problem, which of course our poll just showed us, right? If I've learned anything in 26 years in working with nonprofits, this is it. And when faced with these budget issues, often the first thing that most boards or executive directors are faced with is, okay, well, we need to cut expenses. And it's truly not an expense problem because most of you, I'd say 99% of us, are already working on a shoestring budget. There is often nothing to cut except for programs and services, which is your mission. So we don't want to cut your mission. We want to really focus on ways on creating sustainable revenue.
Grant making. Grant making is a key component to what we do here at the Community Foundation, and I know many of you are already well aware of all of the opportunities we have. We just wanted to give you a quick review of what that could be. You're probably most familiar with our competitive cycles, whether it be the fall or the spring. We're currently in our fall cycle right now, with deadlines coming up here shortly in the next few weeks for the Animal Welfare Fund, the Reading Rancheria Community Fund, and the Women's Fund. Oftentimes we have competitive arts. It's not this year, but sometimes we do. And then in the spring, usually sometime in March, is the Bernie Regional Fund, the Reading Rancheria Fund again, and also the McConnell Fund.
Year round, we also have non-competitive grant making. That includes our donor advised funds. Carrie mentioned we have over 180 funds here. A chunk of those are donor advised, which means that the donor who has established that fund recommends the grants that they would want to make to their favorite nonprofits. And so we work with them, and often we're able to share some of the nonprofit work that's happening and give them some recommendations as well that really fit their goals. We also do pass-through grants. This happens throughout the year for any number of reasons that donors send funding to us, either intentionally as a pass-through, so it lands with us and then we do a disbursement to the named nonprofits. We also do special initiatives throughout the year. We have the Fund for the North State, which you may have heard about. I'll talk real quickly about the Fund for the North State and county-specific funds. Both of those, the Fund for the North State has been established to really build responsive grants, a fund that can address urgent needs in our community. And we're in the building stage of this fund, so that we know we are building sustainable grant making for the long term in our community. Under that umbrella of the Fund for the North State, we also just this year have announced a fund for Siskiyou County, Tehama County, and Shasta County. So those are county-specific funds that only respond to needs in those counties, and they're advised by community members in those counties. So, local dollars, local impact. That's what those are all about.
Matchmaking. It's the core of what we do here at the Community Foundation. Our mission is to connect philanthropic people with causes they care about. That is matchmaking at the end of the day. So we work with our fund advisors tirelessly to connect them with the work of the nonprofits here in our communities. You may not see it, but we are behind the scenes building these relationships with our fund holders, other grant makers, potential donors to share your good works with them in the hopes that they will provide grant making, funding, and awareness. We're all trying to build awareness, of course, as well through all of that. We are hoping and will be rolling out a new system-based process for this grant matchmaking in early 26. So stay tuned on that. It will be a great way for our organizations to share with us your needs and what's going on in the communities, and for our donors to directly see that and hopefully provide funding as the end goal. So stay tuned on our system-based process. We're really excited about that. We're here to meet the moment. Very exciting. As you all know, I hope you all know, North State Giving Tuesday is one of our premier initiatives here in the North State, and it is the best way to raise unrestricted funds. Unrestricted funds are so hard to raise and so hard to seek out. And North State Giving Tuesday allows you to do that. And we are here to help you. Save the date, December 2nd this year, but registration for the nonprofits is due next Monday. Please don't miss this deadline to register with us. And this is for nonprofits in Shasta, Siskiyou, Trinity, Tehama, and Modoc counties. So please, please, please don't forget to register by September 22nd. In the past, we've had prize dollars and other boosting money available of 80,000. This year, we have 100,000. We are so excited. Yes, we are so excited to be able to increase that funding out into our communities with our nonprofits. So we are so excited about Giving Tuesday. We know we will break records again. Please join us.
As we look to other fundraising techniques, right? These are the things that most fundraisers would say are the must-haves and the nice-to-haves, right? The must-haves are really what's going to fuel your ongoing sort of annual giving, in addition to your long-term sustainability. Having reserves, having endowment dollars, all of that plays into these must-haves, right? Most nonprofits have some form of annual giving. Most of you are applying for grants and those sorts of things. Maybe occasionally having a special campaign. But really, legacy giving and major giving, those top two, are often ignored, despite the fact that they have the highest ROI, right? They have a great return on investment. For example, to raise $1 through a legacy or major gift programs costs on average between 5 to 10 cents. Every other effort listed here costs from 25 cents to 75 cents to raise $1, right? So the good news is, if you've been doing any of these other activities, you have built a pipeline for major and legacy gifts, so you can add those to your strategy. And another important reason to talk about legacy and major giving is because your donors' alma mater, major health systems, these national charities, they are all talking to your donors about legacy giving and major giving. They're already doing it. So it's really important to be able to play ball in the same field as these larger nonprofits. It can really elevate our collective local nonprofit reputation and our impact if donors know that they have the same options and expertise available right here in their backyard. And really, you can tap into our expertise when it comes to legacy giving and major giving. We are here as a way to support that, because that is really the business that we're in. And a quick soapbox moment on the nice to haves. You'll notice that I put events and fundraisers on the last bullet point. And I will say this, often, but not always, events and fundraisers are the most expensive way to raise $1. They take an incredible amount of staff time and effort, not to mention money. And they can often be off mission and off message. You are the nonprofit world. We are not entertainers. We are not built to entertain our communities. That's not what we do for a living. We are here to fulfill a mission. Events and fundraisers can often be a really big risk as well. I was part of a nonprofit that had these huge galas. And one year, there was a major benefactor of the organization. She was always a huge bidder on the auction items, always the biggest sponsor of the event. And about, I think, a week or two before the event, she broke her ankle. And so she wasn't going to be able to come to the event. And she said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm going to send a gift in my absence." And that gift was 1/5 of what she normally spent on the event. So it became this massive hit to the fundraiser, to the event. And overall, it really it took a hit on their budget, and they had to do a major shift in their plans going forward, because they had to now make up for what they anticipated they otherwise would have raised with her participation. So there's just always a risk involved, because events are all about getting the right people in the room, of course. So when we're talking about major and planned giving, you're often talking about more complex donations, right? Most nonprofits are there for cash. We have that mindset of cash is king, but probably in most circumstances, cash is the most limited asset that a donor has, with the most limited tax benefits to the donor. So I always keep in mind the 10-90 rule. Generally, only 10% of any donor's wealth is held in cash. Most of their wealth is held in assets like stocks and IRAs and real estate, farmland, also business interests, right? All sorts of other assets are involved in their wealth. But 90% of nonprofits are focused on the 10% cash, right? So we're all focused on this very small piece of that pie, and we're not having conversations about the rest of the pie. But like I mentioned, those national nonprofits, those major universities, they're focused on the rest of that pie. They're not talking about cash with their donors. So instead of fighting for that one small piece, really look at discussing all the other options a donor can give. But hit the easy button when it comes to this, because most nonprofits are not equipped to accept a lot of these complex assets, right? Some might not even be able to accept stock or know how to have these conversations. But again, we are here for that. We're built for that. We deal with stock, with IRAs, with real estate, mineral rights. I mean, really complex gifts on a regular basis. So that's what we're built for. And if we can help you in reaching donors and talking about these complex asset options, we will do the work to liquidate those assets, sell them, and send you the proceeds. So you don't have to worry about all the rules and regulations that come along with these more complicated gifts. We can do that for you, and you benefit from the proceeds. Legacy giving. So legacy giving, also known as planned giving, most of you have heard of. They're often the largest gift that a donor will ever make. If you have donors who care about your work during their lifetime, there's a high probability that they would care about making a legacy gift. A bequest is a gift that's decided during a donor's lifetime that will be contributed upon their death. And I will remind you, we are in the midst of a 100 trillion with a T generational wealth transfer. Over the next 20 years, $100 trillion will be handed down generation to generation. And bequests to nonprofits will absolutely be a part of that story. But only 30% of bequest arrangements are ever shared with the nonprofit beneficiary during the donor's lifetime, right? It's that whole adage of, we don't like talking about money, we don't like talking about death. Well, you certainly don't like talking about death and money together. But so only 30% of donors are letting nonprofits know that they've made these arrangements in their will or trust. I actually worked with an organization that received a $500,000 bequest from a donor who wasn't even in their database, right? So that is how unknown some of these gifts can be. A couple years ago, however, we here at the Community Foundation, we have a donor who gives about $500 a year for a special initiative that they really care about here. And they informed us that they have decided to leave a $50,000 bequest in their estate plans. So that, I mean, imagine that, right? A $500 donor is now telling you they have a $50,000 gift for you. But why did they inform us? Because we asked. Having these conversations is what will let you know that and help you plan for that your donors have made these plans for you in their will or estate. So there are really easy ways to ask donors if they've done this. Simple ways you can just on your reply cards when you send out your maybe annual giving letters or whatnot, just ask, put a little checkbox in there. It's a really easy, no cost, no brainer way to start asking in a way that doesn't feel like you're really poking and needling in on them. I actually really love, I'm going to shout out Mercy Foundation North has a really lovely tagline in their email signature block. It says, "A gift in your will is a lasting expression of your support for our mission." Isn't that nice? A gift in your will is a lasting expression of your support for our mission. So it's just a nice little tagline that is a feel good to the donors who have made those commitments and is a thoughtful way to help somebody think, oh, well, maybe I would do that too. I really do care about this work. And so I might tag into that. Another tip is that if somebody tells you that they have made some sort of arrangement in a request for you, track that. Make sure you're writing it down. Put it in the database, put it on a spreadsheet. We call it an expectancy, and make sure that you're stewarding them appropriately, right? They've told you that they're making one of the biggest gifts of their lifetime for your nonprofit. So make sure you're stewarding them from there. And if donors have complex legacy plans, and we get those sometimes through our organization as well here at the foundation, feel free to tag us to help you navigate some of those complexities. And when I say complex, I mean, it's not cash or stock. It's things that are really easy assets to liquidate. You may end up being, if you're not careful, you may end up being stuck with an illiquid asset, or worse, an asset that carries tax implications for your organization. So always evaluate that thoroughly. If you need us to put eyes on it so we can help you, give some advice to that so that you can know if you should disclaim that bequest. You don't have to just accept everything that comes your way. It might not always be in your best interest. And one last note, a quick soapbox about legacy giving here too. When you receive these bequests, honor the donor's intention. Honor this legacy that they have handed to you. For any board members listening in particular, please protect your legacy gifts. Have written policies in place on how legacy gifts are to be used. Are they sent into the reserves? Are they put into an endowment? Are they protected in some way? And I will tell you, I've worked with a number of different nonprofits over the years, and I have seen legacy gifts absolutely just disappear into the operating fund. They'll get these huge checks and they'll go, oh, this is great. And they spend it out almost immediately into a good idea, or they have they expand their fundraiser with, an even bigger gala or something, and they're spending their dollars in a not so thoughtful way. Not to say that these can't be put toward operating expenses, but make sure that it's a really thoughtful conversation among the board and the staff to make sure that these legacy gifts don't get, just drained out. Protect them for the long-term sustainability, because they're often going to be the biggest gifts you ever receive. Oh, I'm going to actually go back to that slide real quick. If you see that handy little guide to estate planning and bequests, our picture there, this is online as well as in print. You are welcome to share this with your donors. It gives them a lot of good information on what's involved in estate planning and different options for charitable bequests that can benefit your organization. Or if you just want to learn more for yourself about what that looks like, please check that out. Real quickly, life income gifts. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of these, but generally speaking, there's some sophisticated plan giving tools that we have here in our tool belt. They come in two main categories: charitable trusts and charitable gift annuities. The best part is you don't have to understand any of it. We do. If you have donors who are interested in these sorts of things, send them our way. We'll set them all up for you, and you'll receive a sizable gift at the end of the rainbow, which is usually, in most cases, a 5 or 6 figure gift.
We have so many resources at the disposal for you, for your donors, for board members. Hopefully you've learned a lot along the way so far, and perhaps opened your eyes to things that you can add to your tool belt, but perhaps don't know where to start or don't know how to best present it. No need to beg, just borrow and steal. We're updating our website this week to include all of our resources, all of these, plus so much more. Please take a look at it. Put your logo on it, whatever the case whatever you need, or give us a call. We're happy to help with anything and everything. It will be up on our website by the end of the week.
Yeah, we're doing a refresh on our website, materials to post everything. And truly, like Carrie said, put your logo on it. Slap that on, print it out. This becomes yours. We're totally fine with that. We don't want you to have to figure out how to do this from scratch when you can just steal it from us. We also have some great fund options and investment options here at the Community Foundation. We have a new flyer that we just made about agency funds. We'll make sure that that is available on our website as well. I'm going to highlight real quickly. Agency funds come in 3 forms here at the foundation: quasi-endowments, which I will explain a little bit more, traditional endowments, and special projects. So a quick lesson on quasi-endowments versus traditional endowments. Quasi-endowments mean that there are protective measures determined by your board about how that fund is to be used. It is fully invested here in our long-term pool, so it's getting great returns. But instead of a traditional endowment, which is, excuse me, locked up, where you can never touch the principal, a quasi-endowment is fully accessible, principal and all, as directed by your board and the terms of the fund. A traditional endowment, excuse me, is, as you might know, are completely locked up in principal. You can never, ever touch the principal. In fact, the only way to break an endowment is to go to the Attorney General and appeal, which is a lengthy process and not always successful. So I personally, and we're big believers in using quasi-endowments. We think it's always in the best interest of the nonprofit to make sure they can access their funds when they need it. Special projects are another way that we can support nonprofits here. Special projects are typically funds that are going to be used maybe in 2 to 5 years. They're usually campaign related. So nonprofits are in the middle of a campaign, and maybe you don't have the staff and the size and the expertise to really deal with all of that. So you can send all those campaign donors through this special fund for you. We do all the acknowledgement letters. We handle all the complex gifts that go in that might be involved in it. And you just get to enjoy the proceeds of the campaign. So we have that available for you as well. Designated funds are traditionally set up by a donor. And we have a few of those here where donors have come to us and they've established a fund and said, I want this fund to forever support XYZ nonprofit and their great work. And so we do work with quite a few donors on setting up designated funds, either during their lifetime or through their bequests. And then actually, I'll have Carrie speak to our investment horsepower and oversight. We're pretty proud of this.
It is one of the greatest things we do and accomplish here and have great success with our investment pool. There's this horsepower behind it. So of our 180 funds, whatever that balance is, they're part of a greater pool and can earn more. So a $50,000 fund is actually investing at the 30 million plus level. So those returns that we are seeing are much greater should you be investing them on your own. We have excellent experts and expertise not only on our investment committee but also with our investment advisors who focus specifically on foundations, investment policies. We're in full compliance with all of our regulations, and our returns continue to meet and beat other foundations and other nonprofit returns. I believe our 1-year rate of return is 8%, I believe. And over the years, it's just been even better. So this pooled collective pool really helps all of our funds and helps all of our donors create a larger impact in our communities, and something that we take very seriously in stewarding to help protect and grow our community.
And I'll also chime in that having a fund here for your agency means that you don't have to worry about establishing your own investment committee. You don't have to worry about establishing your own investment policies or what compliance and regulations you need to be concerned with, which there are a lot, especially in California with the MIFA Act. So there's a lot of terms that you have to be familiar with if you're going to start your own investment fund. But we're already set up for it. So you can just tap into our expertise and knowledge there and really benefit from it.
We do so much more. Whether it's connections, collaborations, advocacy, sounding board, we are our nonprofit's cheerleaders. We want to share your good works, and we want to help connect you to these donors in our community that may or may not know about you, or that may or may not have different opportunities for different types of giving besides the cash, like Andrea spoke to earlier. So we are your eyes and ears. We are here and ready to help sit with you, work through a complex situation or gift, be a sounding board, connect with your board, your staff, whatever it might be. We are here for you, and hopefully you've learned a little bit more about how donors can give in different ways to help grow and sustain your organization. We're here to help. The best way to learn about all of our seasonal and year-round grants, the deadlines, the webinars we host specifically for those grants, the best way is on our social media pages, to sign up for our e-newsletter, and on our website. So please connect with us. Please be sure to be in touch and to let us know. If you have any questions, you can reach out to info@cf.northstate.org. Our website has so much information. We're updating it this week with all of these resources, plus so much more that we actually didn't talk about today. And so we just really appreciate all of you joining in. And please do connect with us if you have any additional questions.
Thanks so
believe,
much, everyone. We'll be sending out the information for you, the slide deck, the resources, the links, all the things. We appreciate you. Thank you for your work that you do on behalf of the North State. Have a great Monday.
bye.